Just wanted to say hi, everyone. Marielle, welcome to Couples Plus, meeting Ashley, Ashra, Shawn, and myself. So we have Marielle here. She is a Shibari artist, and we are so excited about hearing
something new.
Something new and your experience, how you got into it.
I must say before we get started, I've been following her on IG for a little while, and it's been very intriguing. I see we have mutual friends from the town, so it's one of those things where I saw her and was like, this is interesting. I've never encountered this specifically, and I wanted to learn more. So yeah, I'm so curious to hear more.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad I always like to hear how people found me. And I like that, like my platform, it has a nice like outreach. It always engages like that curiosity, because that's what I go for. That's how I got into this, was through curiosity. So I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing.
No doubt.
Kind of give us your origin story, if you will, and how you got started with Shibari.
Yeah, okay. It's a fun one. So now this is 2022. So picture it 2013. It was 2013. I was on Pinterest and I was like looking at like piercings and stuff. And I saw this like really striking image of this woman who had like a piercing through her septum and just really pretty lips. Turned out she was an artist. I looked up her music and it was FKA Twigs. And I started looking at her music videos, and there's a song called Pendulum. And in the music video, it starts off with her suspended in Shibari, but from her hair. And I had never seen anything like that in my life. I thought it was the most like intriguing and beautiful thing. And then I started exploring more of her music video, and it had more themes of like the BDSM scene and like the power dynamics between dominants and submissives. And it was the way in which she was exploring it that drew me in. And I started doing more research about her. She's from the UK. So I was like, my dreams are across the sea. So I just was like, I love you. I'm just going to follow her, and I'll follow her on Instagram. And then a year later, there was like another Insta celeb that I had liked that was like genderqueer and just living their best life, and felt really inspiring to me at that time. And they were exploring BDSM, but this was in the States. And they were doing it through like that same lens that I was seeing. Like they were it was healing. It was like a medium of healing. That was actually the practitioner's name, medium of healing. That's the way they like practice. There was like a session where it was an intimate session, and they were doing some like flogging and some tying, and it just looked so therapeutic, and I'd never seen anything like that before. So I was intrigued. I reached out to the person that was the practitioner, and they were offering services, and they even offered like discount rates to people like Black and people of color. So I had a session with them, and the session was so in depth. It was very deep into my person, like not just like, oh, what's your kinks, what's your fetishes, but like, who are you? Where are you from? What's your interests? What's your politics? What is your mental state? What trauma have you dealt with in your past? Like very thorough like that. And then got into like why my interest to Shibari and like impact play made sense for what I was saying in response to those things. Because Shibari, what like some of you, I don't know if you know this, but it mimics the same feeling as like an infant being swaddled. It lets off those same brain chemicals. So like when you do that, it's relaxing the body, it's calming the body. And I am a very anxious person, have been since I was a child. And it's just like carried through my life. So learning how to cope with it more, especially at that phase of my life, because I said it was like now, like fast forward to when I'm having these consultations, it's like 2016. And I just had my second child, just broke up with her father, was in a space of like, I need to heal myself sexually, sensually, and just period, just like my full self. And then to be in that like space where I was like with this person and they were telling me how this can be therapeutic to my body and also can be pleasurable was like top tier stuff. So she advised me to practice by myself with the ropes for at least 6 months before introducing another partner to it, and then to be cautious and that and all of that. She gave me like some instructional tools of what to do, like how to tie and what not to do, all that good stuff, and then sent me on my way. So then I began my practice. I got some ropes, 15 foot. I think that was the first set I started off with. And I would just like tie my hand, my wrists, my ankles. I would follow YouTube tutorials, that sort of thing. And then it just like slowly evolved, right? Because I'm starting to follow more people on Instagram. I'm starting to, like follow more people on YouTube. So then I'm seeing people who are like, you putting like artistic twists to traditional like ties. And I'm like, oh, I could do that. And then that's how it inspired me to be more like a freestyle Shibari artist, and where I got into the place where I just play with the ropes and use like the basics as my base and just build from there. So that's my origin. And then also I want to include in my origin story Adriana Marie Brown and Audre Lorde, because they were very instrumental also in that time period. I was also a budding organizer, activist, and I was out here. I went through a course called Bold Black Organizers for Leadership and Development. And it's a hub, it's a political home it's a national political home for tons of Black organizers, activists, directors, all that sort of stuff. And I had the pleasure to meet Adriana Marie Brown before she released Pleasure Activism. And she was telling me about Audre Lorde's use of the erotic. And oops, hold on. Oops. Sorry, I got interrupted. But she introduced me to Audre Lorde's uses of the erotic and told me to listen to it, read it, study it, and then apply it. And I did. And I was doing that at the same time that I was learning about ropes. And the overlay was just so beautiful in my life and what it did for like my confidence and my sensual self and my erotic self.
That's amazing. I'm curious if you encountered, like, it sounds like you've had a lot of supportive players and really positive influences in your journey. And I'm curious if you've also encountered any gatekeeping in the scene, and if so, like how you worked around that, or how you pushed through that.
That's a good one. I haven't seen gatekeeping, really. I've only seen vetting. And vetting I always will respect, because that's how we keep ourselves safe. I've always seen like boundaries being like, in my experience, because I haven't, because like once like I said, in 2016, that's like when I started doing when I had my first consultation. And then I spent the first year and a half alone in practice. And then I started sharing with partners, but I wasn't letting them touch. I was only tying in front, and that was it. And it wasn't until 2019 that I started actually practicing on another body. And then 2020 happened, and I was back, back indoors, back by myself, and became just like self-tying again just for myself. But 2020 was like when I did my first group thing with people and like on the ground, and I wasn't really familiar with that many in-person folks. So that was like I want to meet people, I want to greet people, I want to see what's going on. And then pandemic happened, so it was back indoors. And then I feel like I grew more on the social media, like the internet community. I found like the kink community online. And I wouldn't say it was, like I said, I wouldn't say it was gatekeeping. I would say it was vetting, more so like to make sure I was a safe person and to make sure that we are proper fits for each other and everything. And yeah, that's been my experience with that. So, and I've also been very intentional about how and who I want to interact with. I know, like, as a Black femme, before this, I've been fetishized and sexualized. Like, I've been sexualized very early in life. So I already know how that happens. And I didn't want to play into that type of role play. So I was very intentional about the partners that I was looking at and who and how they were practicing, who they were practicing with, what type of like fantasy role play, whatever, if that's what they do, what that looked like, that sort of thing. So I think that has also been like a protective factor for me as well.
When did you start sharing like publicly about it? Like, did you have any hesitancy about like sharing with like your family or friends, or were you just like, screw it, like this is who I am, this I've been through enough, like this is my journey? And like with your children, like are they aware? Like, because I'm single and like, you know, not over the top of, you know, open about my energy with my daughter, but like, I don't hide that, you know, I'm feminine and there's a sexual side of me. Not that it comes off that way, but, you know, part of our conversations about even releasing some of our information to the public is, you know, none of us have really ever been open. Our, you know, close friends might know what we're, you know, into or whatever. But I mean, you have a social media channel. Like, were you afraid to like share that?
So I'm a Leo.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna lead with that first. Right. And as I was like exploring all of this, I was like, I got to like the you know, like the, what's it called? I forget because it was my Leo friend who told me about this. Like I forget it's the EX word. I can never say it.
Eccentric?
No, not
Extrovert.
Oh, extrovert.
We were muted. Extrovert.
No, not extrovert. An exhibitionist.
Exhibitionist. Got it.
An exhibitionist. And so I have like my a Leo male friend that is an exhibitionist. And I first saw him doing it like on social media, and he was just like, you know, all cute and just like in his little boxers. And I'm like, oh, this is cute. I like this. I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, so I was like, I like watching. Okay, cool. Like found that on my kink list. And I was like, and I know like nothing sexual will ever happen between us, but I like to watch. I was like, oh, right. I was like, I wonder if other people like to watch me, because I was recording at this point, I'm already recording for myself and my intimate partner. It's like, look what I can do. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, let's just like put it on my private story, see what happens. Everybody go crazy. Oh, let's put it on the public story, see what happens. You just shoot through the sky. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing that. And then I started doing reels, and it was fun. And I just like started doing different stuff, and it was fun for me. I was having fun. I was playing with it. And it just became like a part of my practice that also like built like a little bit more of my confidence to like, oh, I can do this, I can post this. And then also with being an exhibitionist, understanding that like my platform as it started, of course, wasn't just kinksters. There's other people here.
Right.
So when you say family members,
I know, like I have my daughter's teachers following me. I'm like, I'm a Sagittarius, and so is Ashra. So that fire and that sexual energy is very present, and I am very open about it. But I'm like, I don't know if I want like the like other moms we hang out with, or like the dads or her teachers to be like, what's happening here?
Yeah. And that's, I feel you on that, because then that's how I also became like, it's like, I had to become intentional about how I wanted to be seen and how I wanted to showcase this part of myself. Because again, people knew me from different backgrounds, because I've been a teacher, I've been an organizer, right. I've done a lot of organizing activist work, and I've like a lot of that, like a lot of different people of different walks of life following me. And I have a huge family. So I have lots of cousins that follow me. And then I came from like, in my bio, I was telling like, I came from a religious background. So like, there's still some people like little splotches of those following me. And then just like childhood friends following me. And it's funny because like because not everything on Instagram shows up on everybody's pages.
Right.
You know? So it took a while for a lot of people to even see. And then once they saw, it's like you get the eye emojis, you get like, what? But the biggest like where my heart dropped was this year. I had shared a post on Instagram that was just meant for Instagram. It wasn't trying to post on Facebook, but it linked. and it posted to both. And I was like, it took me an hour before I realized it was on Facebook.
Oh boy.
And then I went on Facebook and there was like comments and I was like, oh, like, oh no, I gotta read the comments. And then I read the comments and everybody's like, I didn't know you did this. You look amazing. Wow, you're awesome. Do you have a TikTok? What's going on? Like, what are you on? You need to promote this more. You look great. Like all this. And I was like, I was so nervous because then like before I even read the comments, I made a post like really quick, like, sorry guys, that was just for Instagram. Didn't mean to show you my butt. And then everybody was like, and then I was starting to get comments under that. Like as I was reading my old comments, I was starting to get comments under. I was like, what? We love this. If anybody has anything to say, we're gonna come up out of it. It's like, okay.
That's so good.
I love that.
So,
I love that it was so supportive. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Facebook, another animal. Facebook sometimes just could be so.
that's why I was so scared because it's like Facebook, no. Instagram, yes. Facebook, no. But then I realized I could start, sharing little things over there too, which was cool because then people started, seeing me over there. And it's a whole social media is a whole network where you can meet with so many different people. And that's ultimately how I've this year I had an event, it was in partnership with a photography that found me through Instagram, through social media. And then different client, because I also do one-on-one consultations where I just help people just how I was helped with the same just that same way, but with my own approach because I have different trainings too. Just how to get in touch with their own sensual sexual side. But it's definitely been a journey because I've incorporated everything that I've learned so far into my practice and have let that be my foundation that I can grow from. And it's really been a beautiful experience for me. So I'd love to share it, how I've been sharing it and then showing it on my body. There's a fellow kinkster out in LA that was just talking on their stories about how when you're in this practice or when you're in this community, you do want to show off. You want to show what you can do. You want to show what you've learned. You want to show your growth. You want to show your artistic style. You want to show it all. That's a part of it. And that really resonated with me. So I want to share that too. That's also why I'm so outgoing with it because it's something I'm really proud of that I've learned and that I'm continuing to be in commitment to learning with. So yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's dope. That's very dope.
What advice would you give somebody that's considering starting?
I would ask them to ask themselves why it's something that they're interested in. What about it draws you in? What seems interesting? And if they're an audio person, speak it out loud to yourself, record yourself saying it. Or write it if you're more of a writer, just write that. But spend at least 7 minutes with pondering why am I interested in this? Why is it something that I want to do? Why do I want to explore this? Is it something that I want to do? Is it something that someone is asking me to do? Is there a part of me that wants to deepen my connection to myself? Or is there a part of me that wants to learn how to do this to other people? What is it that makes you want to do this?
Okay.
So I'm going to piggyback off of her last question, but what would you say on this journey was the biggest discovery for yourself, and what be something that you would share with someone else in reference to that and how they can help themselves in their journey?
That all love is not equal. Boundaries are necessary. And healing through any modality is a practice that is worth honoring if you're willing to be committed to it. And just to deepen the boundaries part, because if a lot of us, I'm not projecting, I'm trying not to project, but there's trauma there's trauma in America, period. That's a fact of life. And because of that, it's because of lack of boundaries. It's because of lack of accountability. And it's because, lack of boundaries, lack of accountability, and lack of knowledge of what love looks like. A lot of us accept love that's not acceptable for ourselves. Like, there's tons of love out there. There's tons of ways people show love, give love, and receive love. And not all of that is equal to every individual. Mm-hmm. And not every form of love is equal to every boundary type. You can't just cookie cutter yourself and have like cookie cutter boundaries for yourself for every relationship, for how you love and for how you give love. It won't be satisfying. And that also like leads back to Audre Lorde and uses of erotic, understanding what's satisfactory in your body, understanding what, ooh, yeah, that feels right. Like, oh yeah, this feels right. This is how it's supposed to be. When something isn't like that, we need to have the awareness to be like, oh, this is not for me. And this is how I'm going to navigate around this. Like, not necessarily that we can't be in a relationship, but this relationship is going to look different. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you're in the BDSM scene and you are in situations where you have to make contracts, negotiations, and be vetted and talk to people and do all those things, it shifts something in you and how you navigate in other relationships. Like, oh, I can assert what I need and what that looks like and how that feels in my body outside of eroticism, outside of sexual and sensual stuff. Just period. Like how my boss treats me, how my mom talks to me, how I treat my children, that sort of thing.
Awesome.
That's really beautiful.
What is your hope for humanity in terms of sexuality?
I hope that we can become more aware of ourselves and more accepting of ourselves. Not accepting. I want us to be more aware and more loving of ourselves, period. Not trying to shift, not trying to change, but just being aware, like, oh, I'm attracted to this, and that's how that is. And being loving, because loving is boundaries, loving is accountability, loving is being present and being in practice. So if we are those two things, I feel like a whole lot can shift, like a lot. But the awareness has to come from education and teaching and all of that. And the love has to come in practice and in learning and all of that. So it has to be continuously learning and unlearning too, because that's also a process that we must go through in how we commit to one another in our love.
Okay, well, I have one more question. I'm in music, so I'm always curious about this. What are you listening to on your sex playlist, if you will?
Oh yeah, I got lots of people. I like Kalela, of course, Rihanna, of course. Let's see, who else? I have been listening to this artist called Kamal, and I really like the song that he has called Absinthe, something like that. You know, like the stuff you put in the liquor.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Absinthe?
Yeah, that's the name of the song. I love it. It's like, oh, I don't know, something about it just it gets me. I like Sir. Love. I like Sir. And who else makes it to my playlist? D'Angelo always gets me right. And just got to, yeah. Yeah. I like a lot of like R&B neo soul sounds. Yep. But I also like some house music. It's about so it's all over the place, but it's fun.
So I have to ask: is the new Drake on the playlist?
Yeah, you have to have a balance. You have to have a balance. What's that?
You have any new songs from Drake on the sex playlist since it's a house?
I'm not a Drake fan. Beyonce's coming.
Yes, Beyonce's
Drake
coming.
Sounds dope.
Yes, that was a house song. Okay, so she's coming. I feel like she's about to come with some real good music, something great that I could add to the playlist. And she's coming right in Leo season 2. Hey, So I'm like, this is gonna be
This
fun.
is
I'm
like
excited.
cookout summer. I feel the vibe.
Mhm. Yeah. But my what else do I have on my playlist? I have and then also FK Twigs. I have to have Twigs on my playlist because
Maria, if
she
you
got
could
me.
send me a list of like whichever. I know you had shared one of them preliminary to this, but if you can send me a few more, because we're actually creating sex playlists of different.
Oh, I can say I have sex playlists on. I have my like my sexy time playlist on Spotify. So I'll just share it with you then.
Oh, awesome.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go. So we can share it with our people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know you have an event coming up this week, which this won't be released until after, but if you want to tell us, because you said you're probably going to be doing more in the future.
Oh yeah. Because yeah, like I said, I did one in partnership with the Boudoir Photography back in March. That was like a more like tutorial based. I was teaching people some basic ties. This pop-up one is going to be more for play and fun. I'm going to do like 1 to 2 tutorials. Maybe we'll see how it flows. And then I'm just going to let people go at it and have fun. I'm going to bring my little vlogger and I'm going to have a little station. There's going to be food, music, and it's going to be an overall good time. But it's just like an introduction again, me coming back, showing what I'm doing, my progress. I'm going to have my rope bunny that I currently am working with be there and tie him up. It's going to be fun. So it's going to be just like a cute little scene. I've decided, like, based off of my last 2 experiences with hosting and co-hosting, that I like a more like informal feel. Like I like it to be like, here, like, this is what this practice is. I always like to start off with the introductory of what Shibari is and how I deal with it and what like my goal is for this practice. And then like get into like how I get into the like the mode out, like how I get into the mood of what I'm about to do, because that is also a thing. It's not like, all right, pick up the ropes, here we go. It's like you have to get into your body, you have to get into yourself before you do this practice. So I just like to set the mood, set the stage, go for it. And then I like to, because what I've noticed is that once people get into their first tie, especially with couples, it's like, oh, this is great. Like, this is fun. Like, look at you, look at me. And the cameras come out, you know, like it becomes a whole thing for about 20 minutes. So instead of like rushing people through it, I rather them just enjoy that time, because it's like, this feels nice. Oh, what if we did like this? You know, like they start doing different things. So I want to give people time to explore themselves before it being like, okay, and take those off and into the next rope, you know, like I want to give people time to explore that sensation, what that feels like, and also have like time to interact with me in between and be like, you know what, I actually came for impact play, and then I take them over to like the impact play area and we do some of that, like, so that it can be more fluid and less structured. That's what I'm going for this time around.
So
Then you said you had another event after that.
It won't be an event. It's going to be more of like, it's an immersive course. That's what it is. It's going to be a 21-day immersive course of establishing pleasure kink-based practices. And it is, again, like for people who are like interested in this, but don't know really where to begin, just so that they can become like, get a baseline of what, like, these are the different kinks. This is what they look like. This is what they can feel like. This is what the experience is like. But like, want to just like dip your pinky into it, just so you can get a little feel of it. And it also takes 21 days to build a practice. So 21 days of being in pleasure practice with yourself, like, you know, kink edition is a fun thing to do. And also, like I said, just to get your pinky wet with what kink is and what it looks like, and just like, if you want more, you can explore more beyond, because you'll know what that kink is, you'll know what it's named, you'll understand how it works, you know.
I absolutely love that, and please share that with us so we can share it both on social as well as in the podcast information.
Oh, sure. Yes.
I will speak to kink. I'm not like too haven't delved into much of it, but just reading about it yet. But no, like reading about it, I've taken the BDSM test before, and like there's definitely a lot of things, like even just that quiz. I don't know if everybody's taken it before.
I haven't. I might have to.
You say what?
Yeah.
But just seeing a lot of things that I'm like, that makes sense, because this is something that's turned me on in the past, or, you know, that's something I've been curious, but I didn't even know what to call it. Or then reading something, I'm like, wait, what is it? And the more I explore about the kink world, period, the more I, like, the people are just wonderful. The people in the lifestyle, just so open and they're so respectful. And so at least the people that we've encountered, just so kind. And it just felt, when I've been around it, it's just felt so freeing to be able to like be me to another level that I haven't figured out how to be around the family, I'm no longer in the corporate world, but up until last year, my corporate colleagues, and just this whole other existence that you have to live now as a mother, the other moms, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just so beautiful and freeing. And that's really part of why we're doing this Couples Plus, to be able to find that community and discover different parts of ourselves. So.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious. I work closely with the kink community. I'm a sex therapist.
Yeah.
And I have strong personal ties to it as well. But I've noticed that for some people that kink can be like an escape from a lot of roles that they're boxed into in their life. So it can be sort of a form of freedom. And for other people, it's a different extension of themselves. Like some of the most wicked awesome sadists that I've ever met are like librarians that live out in like the boonies, and they've got like a dungeon in their basement. You're like, you okay, cool. And like some of the most like powerful people end up being so submissive because like they won't, maybe like they want that escape, they want that role shift. And I'm curious what kink means for you, as far as your like an extension or a release, or I don't know, how do you feel about it?
I like that. Thank you. Kink to me is cathartic. Kink to me is an opportunity to play out power dynamics that society would never let me play. Like never in life would I be able to whip a man or a white person just like out in public and not something happened to me or somebody look at me wild. Like never in life would I be able to like have a white man be submissive to me or a black man be submissive to me and it just be seen as acceptable, except in kink. Like that's the only place where it's like where I can explore that without scrutiny or without it being manipulative. Because I also feel like a lot of people in their exterior life who may have kinks or may be kinky can be extremely manipulative because they have things that they want to play out that they don't have space or haven't navigated where to play it out in. And that's why I like that question, because it's true, because it's different people have different reasons for entering that realm. And for me, like it was to like explore that piece of me that like wanted to have like power when it was felt powerless, that wanted to know what it was like to have my boundaries respected and not questioned, where I was free to express myself and be seen and be loved for that, like without like judgment. So that's actually cathartic. That's the first word that came up for me. Yeah.
I jotted down a few notes as you were talking, and it just like, it seems like your whole story, like hence my asking about gatekeeping earlier was like you're very thoughtful about everything that you do, but not to the point where it's like it's not fun anymore, which is really awesome. But I feel like it feels like you've hit this sweet spot of strong, healthy boundaries, exhibitionism, intention, and happy accidents via like finding things on Pinterest and like, oops, no, this is on Facebook. So it's just like it's such a cool journey.
Yeah, exactly. Happy accident.
I do have one last question, Marielle. Have you ever encountered like a partner that was not aware of the kink and how that like that you essentially opened that gate for them?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna tie myself and talk. Is that cool?
Awesome.
So when I first, can you see me good?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm gonna do not your face, but yeah.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's what I was going for because you could just listen. So when I first like got into it, I was single. I wasn't dating anybody. Like I said, I just got broken up. What was me? And I was feeling like all types of ways. So this was like my way of like getting that physical touch into myself. So I wasn't really concerned about what others were thinking. And like I said, it was like initially just for me anyways. And once I started dating again, and then, dating again, I was scared to share my practice because now it felt sacred. Because now it felt like this thing that I had learned to do by myself in the private, like had like earned all this, like I've done so much. And then it's like, I don't know if I want to share this with anybody. I don't feel like anybody would understand. Like locally, I didn't think anybody would know what this was. And because I wasn't seeing anything locally, that wasn't coming up for me. I wasn't seeing people that were kinky here. So I was like, I don't think this will be accepted. So I kept it to myself. And then once I started sharing it on like Instagram and stuff, then my partners would see and be like, oh, I didn't know that was what you were into. I didn't know you liked that type of stuff. And it's like, I didn't think you like that type of stuff. Like, well, you didn't talk to me about it. So how would we know? So I was like, oh, okay. So I started talking more because I was like, I don't have any shame about it. I just didn't, like I was like, this is mine. It's my practice. I don't want to share. I was being a little selfish. And I recognized that and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to share. And then, like I said, I will only do like demos. I was like, this is what it looks like. This is what I can do. This is my practice, whatever. I would say stuff like that. And then I started getting, because I'm also polyamorous. So I date multiple people and and have different agreements. So my one partner was like, I actually want to learn like how to do it. And I want like you to practice on me. Like I want to be your practice partner. And then we began practicing more, So that was her introduction to it. And we had a fun relationship like that for about 3 years. And then from there, I would like, I still feel this way. I just did a simple like hip harness. I felt more comfortable and still do with my like femme partners, sharing this with them than my like male masculine partners. With my male masculine partners, I'm very more boundary oriented about like how we engage in that. Like if you're gonna watch, you're gonna watch. But that's it. We're not like, you can pull here. You can pull where I tell you to pull. You can touch where I tell you to touch. You can, like you can engage like the way I depict how you can. And that was very empowering because they didn't know what it was about, so they had to listen to me. So it was great. That built my confidence too. And then doing like the meeting with like doing the group sessions like I did was very empowering. Meeting with people one-on-one, very empowering. Like, this is what this looks like. This is how this works. It just, that's how I feel like I got comfortable sharing it with people in person, because I'm a more virtual, you know. But one of my nails just broke off, so I'm having a little hard time. But anyway, just something simple.
It really is an art. Like, I've seen pictures and I've watched people doing it. It's such, it's art.
Yeah, and I like to do, so I also like have a thing like whenever I do tie myself, I like to tie myself in a specific area that needs to be held. So I have been like having a lot of cramps lately. So not to be too TMI, but like my gut has been not in the greatest shape. So I wanted to give a little pressure here. And also when I'm like, when I'm feeling one area of my body too much, I try to give love to another area that supports me, which is my thigh. Our thighs, will be nothing without our thighs. So I wanted to hold my thigh while I was holding my gut at the same time. And just give that, like, feel that pressure there, those areas. So it's not for nothing that I did that.
Love that. I've been having the same issues. Like, my gut has been crazy and cramps and all that. So I'm like, that looks so soothing. When you were doing it, I was like, I kind of want to be held and supported.
See?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool, like, because like our bodies hold so much trauma, to be that mindful, and also it's like just a beautiful blend of things like acupressure, or like just being in touch with like, what do I even need? Like, that's when you talk about like kink and therapy, I can see the connection there, and I think that's just like very, very beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, but that, like I said, it's a blend of like what I know, like I learned about through both. I learned about the somatic body, so I incorporate what I know about my somatic body in my practice, and I encourage the people that I meet to do the same, like to be aware of like what state is your body in, like truly what state is it in. It can be craving pleasure, it could be craving healing, it can be craving solace, it can be craving so many things, it can be craving expression, just like having that awareness is like, what does my body really want right now, and how can I be my best loving and caring self. And I also want, like, this feels great saying this because it's cancer season, and you know they all about love and care, so especially on the how can I care for myself more in this practice.
What I love about some of the conversations we've had is that even though these different practices or careers present, like outwardly as overtly sexual, like when I feel like these conversations almost demystify the kink world in some type of way and show that like it's not people just being like raunchy and horny and all that. I mean, like that's a part of it, but like really when you break it down, like how much healing, and like you said, we all deal with trauma, whether it's from society, whether it's from religion, whether it's from our own personal trauma, and like how these different modalities really help people heal and then become more connected with their sexual selves, to then be able to express it better and release. And I love that these conversations really do all come back to the healing part of things, rather than it just be this whole, like, it's just about sex and orgasms and everything else. So your story has been beautiful. And everything you've said, I love that it brings a deeper meaning to this, and maybe intrigues people a little bit more of like, it's so much deeper than just sex. And community is more than just people having sex and expressing that. It's really about building a community and healing and sharing those teachings to help other people, because once you feel that power and that confidence, it's like you just like want everybody else in your world to feel that same confidence, like with boundary setting and speaking your truth and all that. You're like, because my life changed when I started setting boundaries and really, you know, sticking to them and, you know, and speaking them and speaking my needs. And it's like, now it's like that just opened a whole new world for me once I did. Bless you.
Thank you.
Now I just want everybody to be like, speak your truth and set your boundaries and be free and live your best life. So I love that you've shared, like, that's come up in your story today.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, this has been really a great.
I've always seen Shibari as beautiful. You're curious, but just how you're explaining about, you know, it's similar to being swaddled or like being held. And I'm very much about physical touch. So it just seems so intriguing to me, even more than before after talking to you. So.
Oh no, I'm losing you.
Oh yeah.
I lost.
It's the Dominican internet. We lost you for a second.
Yeah, we lost you for a second. What was the question?
Oh, it wasn't really a question, but rather a comment. Sorry, that's the one thing of island living, or internet's always like, eh. But no, I always found Shibari just intriguing.
Their internet goes in and out.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
We good? Yeah. Hears?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Well, it doesn't matter if you can't see me.
But you're still frozen on the video. But
we can hear you.
That's okay. You can still talk. So there you go.
Okay, so.
Good.
Yeah, I was just saying, Shibari's always, since I found out about it and just seeing pictures, it just seems really beautiful and intriguing. But talking to you and hearing about the healing experience, what it does for your body, it being like you're being held, it just makes so much more sense.
I don't have a question per se, but I'm always, I love sexual confidence. So I just wanted to thank you for yours and finding your truth and being free in your sexuality and being able to come and share that with us. Again, as my wife was sharing, this is definitely something that is a centerpiece of what we're looking to build here. So we're just very grateful for your time and energy.
Yes, I'm grateful to share.
Yeah.
Thank you again for having me. Like, this has really been great to share this with y'all and to meet y'all. That's also what I love about this. I get to meet more awesome people who are like-minded. And I want to continue just to grow and deepen these bonds.
Absolutely. I'm going to be messaging you on Instagram, and I'm in Buffalo too. So I would love to get together in person. And it's my daughter's last day of school, and there's a bunch of stuff happening Friday, but I want to get together with you and definitely like come to any of the events, help promote, and maybe do a girls' night of my own and have you.
Because I've done birthday parties. So that's also been fun for me. Yeah, I do parties. I love it. It's so much fun. I just love sharing this. So yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you want to do workshop stuff or just, you know, like hang out, then
I mean, I want to connect with everybody that's here. Everybody that's here, I want us to have other conversations.
We're doing a retreat in end of September, and we will, as I mentioned before, we're going to have some ongoing. So maybe in the future, if not this one, you can end up coming and doing a workshop for the.
Yes, again, I would love to stay. Like, y'all are cool. I want to be in communication with y'all, work with y'all, build with y'all. So yes, please, like, we can be in communication about September as well as beyond, because I also, because I'm a writer and a poet and have done spoken word too. So I have like a lot of that background. And I just like got approved for the New York grant of, for guaranteed artists. So thank you. So that's, I'm like, hopefully September, that sounds like something we could plan, you know? So yeah, like, let's just stay open to possibilities and dreaming up what we can do.
I'll share everybody's contact on social.
Awesome.
Hang out.
Cool.
All right.
This is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
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 Bye.